If I was sad, I ate. If I was annoyed, I ate. If I was happy, I ate. All of my feelings, I ate. What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Emily, and I create Christ-centered conversations about topics missing from mainstream messages. So if that's your cup of tea, make sure to subscribe. And while you're at it, if you want to follow along with the behind-the-scenes stuff of my life, you can follow me on my Instagram, which will be linked down in the description box below. Without further ado, let us get into the video. Today, we're talking about fasting. Fasting is something that is wild, absolutely wild. It blows my mind. So I have two stories for you about the 2 times in my life that I have fasted. And I just want to say, for some reason, I know the reason, we'll get into the reasons, but for some reason, these 2 times that I've fasted have also been the 2 times where I have experienced God's presence more clearly than any other time in my life. Let's chat, shall we? So first time I fasted was, I didn't actually fast from food specifically, I fasted from, that's gonna sound weird. I fasted from a person in my life. The times that I would have been spending with this person, I chose to go to a prayer room on campus and pray, which is a lot. I was praying for like an hour a day. And so it was both that I was adding prayer into my life and also removing someone from my life for this week. I only did it for a week. And it was crazy. It was so crazy. I would wake up in the morning, I would be so excited to go pray. I felt strengthened in my faith, and I felt that, okay, I don't need to rely on this person in my life. I can rely on God and His presence in my life. So that was something that happened my freshman year of college, and it was crazy. I just like tasted, you know that verse that says, taste and see that the Lord is good? I tasted the Lord being good to me in that time because I was devoting time to Him. And I was fasting from something. I was saying, Lord, I am serious about this. I am serious about prayer. Let's get it. Let's do it. That was the first time I fasted from something other than food. And the second time I fasted was actually like a few weeks ago. So really, I'm not the model of fasting. I think I've only done it twice in my life. But I am starting to see that it is very important. So here's my story. Something to know about me is that I love food. I love food. And food is a lot of things for me. Food is community. It's about the people that I'm with. Also, it makes me feel good. I have a lot of like health stuff that food is just good and I just like it. I just like food. I like how it tastes. I like how it makes me feel. Not just like feel physically, but also like feel emotionally, if that makes sense. Because I feel refueled, and if the hungrier I get, I've noticed the more emotional I get. The other day, I felt like God was asking me to fast. It was just like coming up, you know how something just keeps coming up and like comes up here and then there and then there, and you're like, okay, I'm getting the message. I'm getting the message. So I kept getting this message like, Emily, you need to fast. And I was like, no, nope, no, I will not. And I was so stubborn for, I kid you not, like a month. A month, God was like, you need to fast. And I said, no, I will not do it. And the reason why I didn't want to do it was because I love food. And my whole day revolves around food. When I plan my day, I just think about food so much. Like when I go to bed, I think about what can I have tomorrow morning for breakfast? And when I wake up in the morning after I've had breakfast, I'm like, ooh, what can I have for lunch? And after I've had lunch, I'm like, oh, what can I have for dinner? And I'm like, what snacks can I have during the day? And so I just plan my whole life around food. My life revolves around food. And so I did not want to give this up literally for even a day. I couldn't even fathom the idea of skipping lunch. Like that was it. At first, it was just like, okay, I'll just skip lunch the next day. And I was like, I just can't do it. And so I didn't. And that was very disobedient of me. So finally, like after a month of just me being like, no, I'm not doing it, the Lord was like, you are. And finally, I just felt like I needed to. And let me tell you, it was awesome. I took that day and I didn't eat. I just didn't eat any meals. And the times that I would have been eating meals, I prayed. So I prayed in the morning for like an hour when I would have been having breakfast. And I had work all day. I was in full-time work at this point. So then I went to work and I had a lunch break. And I will say at my lunch break, I had fruit. I think I had like some pineapple and some berries. But my point in having fruit was like just a little bit of nourishment, but not enough to sustain me. And then I went on with the rest of my workday. And I was tired. I was hungry. I was really hungry. But the most surprising thing to me was that I was not cranky. Even when I ate lunch at school, I work at a school, so even when I've eaten lunch at work, I still get cranky throughout the day when I get to the end, when I'm hungry, and then I get home and I'm annoyed and I'm just like kind of in a crabby mood after driving, and then I eat, and like all I can think about for the whole work day is like, I can't wait to get home and eat dinner. And so I didn't eat dinner, and instead I prayed. And so what was so surprising was that like normally I would have been cranky, but this one specific day, I just kept telling myself like, the Lord is my sustenance. The Lord sustains me. I don't need food to make my emotions all steady. I can be steady, and I can submit this to God because I am making the active choice of fasting today. And so that doesn't give me an excuse for acting all crazy and being all cranky and irritable. So that was really good. And then I came home from work, and instead of rushing to the fridge to get food, and instead of rushing and sitting on my bed and scrolling through Instagram for 20 minutes, because I'm just so tired, which I am actually really tired, but guess what? Looking at my phone for 20 minutes is not gonna satisfy me. It's not gonna give me actual rest. It's just gonna actually wake me up more. It's gonna give me a hit of dopamine and my eyes are gonna be kind of tired. That's for another video. So I got home, and then instead of doing those things, I just sat and prayed with God for like an hour. And I was blown away because I was so satisfied. It was like I didn't need food anymore. And I still need food. I do still need food. I eat, don't worry. But I wasn't feeling the craving for food to give me the emotional security and nourishment that I needed, because I was getting that nourishment from God. So that was 2 long stories, and that was just my experience with the 2 times that I fasted, and they've just been awesome. I just want you to know that it can be really good. It can be really, really good. And I think for Christians that the Lord does require us to fast sometimes. Here's some things to think about of why we do fasting as Christians. So number 1, God asks you to. That's what, if God asks you to fast, he asked me to fast, and so I didn't. But I should have. So if God's asking you to fast, just fast. You don't know what you're gonna learn. He has something in store for you and you have no idea. So just do it. Just do it, because he knows best. He knows better than you. He can give you the strength that you need to do it. So if God asks you to, do it. Number 2, fast when you need to pray for something. If you have something that's on your heart that's burdened that you need to either make a decision about, that you are feeling really like heavy about, if you're praying for someone's conversion, if you're praying for a certain situation, fast. Because in the Bible, prayer and fasting has gone hand in hand like the whole way through. And in a lot of early church history, prayer and fasting, hand in hand. And then suddenly, recently, it's just pray about it. Where's the fasting? We forgot about it. So fasting, not that God doesn't know this. I say this carefully. Fasting says, Lord, I'm serious about this thing that I'm praying for. The Lord can answer or not answer prayers whether or not you're serious about it. But that's a way of showing God, I'm serious about this thing that I'm asking for. I'm serious about seeking wisdom from you. Number 3, it reveals things in you, specifically bad things. So for me, when I fasted, it revealed that I relied on food too much to be my nourishment and my strength, physically and emotionally. Since fasting is a discipline that helps you grow in holiness, that's what spiritual disciplines are. If you're growing in holiness, that also means that you're seeing the things that are unholy in you. And that is really tough, but fasting does that a lot. Like it brings you to the basis of who you are and the things that are inside of you. And the things that are nasty about you come out more when you're fasting. And that is not a reason not to do it. That's a reason to do it so that the Lord can purify you. Because if you keep all those things hidden down inside of you, not that he can't do his work, but you need to bring those up and bring it out of you and realize this is a problem that I need to work on, because you're not going to work on something that you don't think is a problem. So fasting kind of shows you where you need to devote maybe some extra time and energy into growing in holiness in certain areas. Number 5, fasting shows, specifically with food, where you place food in your life. Obviously, for me, I place food very highly. Some people place it very lowly. Everybody kind of has a different relationship with food, and fasting will bring that out, and it'll show whether it's a healthy relationship with food or not a healthy relationship with food. For me, it brought up a heart problem of I used food to cure my bad feelings. If I was sad, I ate. If I was annoyed, I ate. If I was happy, I ate. All of my feelings, I ate. That's not something that was brought up to me that mentors or people have been like, Emily, you know, like you really eat a lot. Because it's not something that we talk about, but we should. Anyway, we need to fast so we figure out where food is in our life. Number 6, true fasting is not just getting rid of food for a certain period of time. True fasting is caring for people. It's caring for the orphans, caring for the widows, caring for the oppressed in our community. And so if your fast does not include caring for people and does not include asking God, what are you doing in the world and how can I help you and serve your people, then it's not true fasting. So don't just hear this message and say, in order to grow in holiness, in order to be a good Christian, I have to fast. That's not it. Fasting reveals a lot about yourself, and it shows your reliance and dependence on God, but it also needs to be a way that you give up something for yourself and say, I'm gonna not eat food and I'm gonna give food to somebody else. That's just an example. Number 7, just very practically speaking, it gives you more time in your day to do the things that you're like, I wish I prayed more today. I wish I read my Bible more today. I just didn't have time. But the reality is you always have time. You just have to figure out what your priorities are. And so fasting gives you an excuse, so to speak, of sitting down and praying and sitting down and reading your Bible and just devoting time to that specifically and saying nothing will get in the way of this chunk of time that I have devoted, because normally I would be eating breakfast right now. So there's nothing else that I have to do right now. This time is already carved out for me as a mealtime. I'm not going to eat. I'm just going to pray. Number 8, fasting shows your hunger and dependence on God. So there were some phrases that I would say to myself when I was fasting from food, specifically when I was hungry. Hunger came up a lot, and I was reminded food does not nourish me. God nourishes me. The Lord is my sustenance and my strength. Those are the things that I would say to myself a lot when I was feeling hungry, and also I was reminded I am human. I am not God. That is something that fasting reminds us to a crazy extent, because 1, you see your sinfulness, and 2, you see how much you depend on food. We could not make it without food. We would die. God does not need food. He is not sustained by anything. He himself sustains himself. We are creatures. We are sustained by him. So it's just this constant reminder of my dependency and my reliance must be on God for all of these things. For me to grow in holiness, for me to be a good person, whatever good means. It just shows you that your dependence needs to be on God. And that's why I think fasting is so important. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm really praying that the Lord would use my words in some way to help somebody just take that step to fast from something for something else. And that something else is for God and for him and for being in his presence and helping his people. So that is true fasting, and it pleases the Lord. So let's go out there and let's please the Lord. Yeah. All right. I'll see you next week.